Welcome back, Raider Nation. Before we get into the video, I first want to say thank you guys so much for the recent support. We're a small channel trying to grow and share our passion with as many of you guys out there as possible. So if you do happen to enjoy our content, please like the video, leave a comment down below, share it with your friends, and subscribe to this page. Let's get into it.
The autumn wind is a pirate, blustering in from sea. With a rollicking song, he sweeps along, swaggering boisterously. His face is weather-beaten. He wears a hooded sash, with a silver hat about his head, and a bristling black mustache. He growls as he storms the country, a villain big and bold. And the trees all shake and quiver and quake as he robs them of their gold. The autumn wind is a raider, pillaging just for fun. He'll knock you round and upside down and laugh when he's conquered and won.
Raider Nation, recent reports have suggested that the Raiders were prepared to draft Michael Penix Jr. at pick 13.
6 quarterbacks were going to be picked. And by the way, if Penix had slid past the Falcons at 8 and the rest of the quarterbacks went the way they did, then there was the possibility that the Raiders would have taken Penix. So,
look, I know we can't go back in time, and of course we drafted our guy Brock Bowers out of Georgia, but I wanted to look back and see how all these picks actually stacked up and how the board fell. So when you look at Michael Penix to the Atlanta Falcons, I don't think anyone expected this. Nobody thought that the Falcons needed a quarterback. They had just signed Kirk Cousins for $180 million with 100 of it guaranteed. So, people after they had drafted him said it's a smart move. You're getting a guy just like the Jordan Love situation, just like the Patrick Mahomes situation, where you're drafting a guy to sit behind your current starter. But I couldn't disagree more because when you look at Michael Penix, he's 24 years old and he's about as pro ready as a quarterback comes to the NFL. So there's no reason why you'd sit him behind a veteran. He's ready to start right away. So it makes no sense why you would go out and draft him. So when looking at the Raiders' perspective, I was upset, and I'm sure a lot of fans were upset that they didn't go and draft a quarterback. And, I think the front office was prepared to go and draft a quarterback. People are criticizing the Raiders for not moving up and getting that guy, but you can't really blame them because outside of the top three teams who are drafting 1, 2, and 3, the only teams that I think we had thought were going to be drafting a quarterback were the Vikings and Broncos. And on this channel, we've said that they were interested in J.J. McCarthy and Bo Nix for their respective quarterback positions. So I don't think the Raiders thought that they needed to move up to get Michael Penix. You know, in hindsight, I think they could have moved up to number 7 with the Tennessee Titans because I think they selected J.C. Latham out of Alabama. So if they wanted to tackle, there were tackles available at pick number 13. So you could have, gotten some draft capital if you're the Titans, and we could have gone and jumped the Falcons if we knew that they were interested in Michael Penix. So I think it was possible. I think we could have went up and gotten him, but it's hard to blame Telesco because I don't think anyone knew that the Falcons were going to be interested in Michael Penix. And another thing, the drafting of Brock Bowers, we're going to get into it more on this channel. We're going to have a video deeply analyzing that pick. But I think what that means is it was always going to be a quarterback, and it was never going to be a corner or lineman. A lot of you guys in the comments had said, stick with Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew and go and draft an offensive tackle or go and draft a corner. And I think that was never going to happen because when you look at who was on the board when the Raiders picked, all the corners were available. The Quinyon Mitchell out of Toledo was available, and so was Terrion Arnold out of Alabama. Those are the top 2 consensus cornerback prospects, and they were still on the board. And when you look at tackles, Taliese Fuaga was on the board at 13. He went a pick later to the Saints. I didn't have him ranked high, but a lot of people in league circles had him as one of the best tackles in the draft. So if we really wanted to go and draft a tackle or a corner, there were guys available at that spot, and we passed on them. So I think with that logic, I think we're going to always draft a quarterback. And once Penix got picked, I think Telesco's attitude shifted to, okay, instead of going quarterback, we're going to go best player available. And that's exactly what we did with Brock Bowers. We just picked the best player available and moved on, which I think in hindsight was smart looking at it because, you couldn't get the quarterback. You were left at the altar, so to speak. So you go and pick the safest pick in Brock Bowers, the guy who has the highest likelihood to hit and become a superstar. So, that makes sense. And I think the drafting of Brock Bowers means that Tom Telesco and Antonio Pierce are really relying on 2 players to step up, and their names being Jacorian Bennett and Thayer Munford. Those guys got to go and play starting roles because at right tackle, the only, our slated starter right now is Thayer Munford, who's shown a little bit coming out of Ohio State. He's gotten a little better each and every year. We've seen him, he played against the Kansas City Chiefs on Christmas Day. He started at left tackle when Colton Miller was injured, and he played pretty decent. So he's in spurts, he's shown a little bit. And Jacorian Bennett, he has speed. He ran 4.3 at the combine, but we saw him as a rookie against Denver week 1. He was not ready last year. But he's a hard worker. The locker room has really raved about Jacorian, so hopefully he takes that next step because right now he's our starting corner outside of Jack Jones. You go Jack Jones on one side, and Jacorian's going to be starting right now on the other side because we went out and passed on a guy like Terrion Arnold. So you're expecting a guy like Jacorian to step up and become that starting corner opposite Jack. And yeah, now that the draft is over, it's going to be interesting to see what the Raiders do from here. Did they go out and sign some more depth pieces? They just signed Michael Gallup from the Dallas Cowboys. So on this channel, we're going to have you guys covered all things roster construction and all things draft breakdowns. We're going to be breaking down the Bowers pick, breaking down the JPJ pick. So we're going to have you guys cover Raider Nation, all things Raiders. And yeah, we really appreciate the support as well. Continue liking, subscribing, commenting down below, and sharing with your friends. Those 4 things go a long way for us, Raider Nation. But yeah, until then, Silver and Black Attack, Jahan signing off. Thank you guys.